What's up, guys? Welcome back to Deck Tech for Decks. I'm your host, Caleb. Special shout out to my high contributing patrons, Newsome, you rock. Now, let's get into today's deck tech with Voja, and this is my Voja cEDH deck. The goal of this deck is pretty simple. We want to mull for a turn 1 or turn 2 Voja, and from there we want to stax out the board using our Blood Moon, Collector Oof, Archon of Myria, and Phyrexian Censer effects. After that, you're going to want to search for your combo pieces that are kind of pseudo combo in this deck. We're going to try to find our Maskwood Nexus and our mirror entity. From there, we're putting counters on our entire board state equal to our board state and drawing cards equal to our board state, ensuring that we can get into the actual combos of the deck, which involve Shalai and Halar, the Red Terror, or a Savala Heart of the Wilds, and a Aggravated Assault. This is going to be a very fun strategy, and honestly, it's really hard for your opponents to deal with Voja because of that Ward 3 ability. If you get this guy on the battlefield turn 1 or turn 2, sometimes people just flat don't have the mana to deal with him. Now, we do hate out pretty well the Underworld Breach win lines, so you're going to want to kind of target the people that can run or win under your Rule of Law effects. So I'm talking like your Sisseys, your Kennons, anything with an activated ability we have to go for first, because the stax deck we're running cares about activated abilities, so we don't hate on them as much. So definitely target those players, hit them with Voja and your entire board state, and you'll find that you just really can chip at their life total very efficiently and kill them pretty fast. So if that sounds like a deck tech you want to get into, let's get into it. But before we do, I would like to thank today's video sponsors, Into the AM. Guys, I'm obsessed with these shirts just because the feel and comfort of them. I mean, right now I'm wearing an extra large, it's fitting me perfectly, and tapers at the sleeve, which is exactly what you wanted to do. Like I said, these shirts fit like a glove and they're super comfortable. Not only do they come in just your classic tees, but they also have amazing graphic tees. And guys, the graphic tees, you don't feel the graphic on the inside of your shirt, which is one of my pet peeves, and honestly why I'm so excited to partner with this company. They just make some really good product and have some really crazy comfortable shirts. So if you want to get 10% off your order, you can use code DECKTECH and click on that link in the description down below and replace your wardrobe with some dope shirts. The first thing I'm going to go over is how we win the game. Maskwood Nexus and Mirror Entity are definitely the two ways we get there the fastest. Not only are they incredible draw engines, but once we get Shalai and Halar on the battlefield, you can find yourself doing up to 20 damage per turn pretty easily. And then once we add the Red Terror into the equation, you're just going to go infinite and win the game. Another solid way we have is Aggravated Assault. Pair this with Savala or any other mana dorks that generate up to 5 mana, and you can just go infinite and get all of the combat steps in the world. To ensure you're doing what the deck wants to do, you really need to be looking for an early Voja. Grim Monolith, Mana Vault, and Jeweled Lotus are going to be perfect for this. Now they are one-offs, but honestly we're looking to stax the board out with Oof and Null Rod effects anyway, so one-offs are exactly what this deck wants. Tinderwall, Soul Ring, Chrome Mox, and Mana Crypt can also help us get there, but honestly a little slower. Carpet of Flowers, 9 times out of 10 this is probably going to be 2 mana, but if you're against a mono blue deck, you'll love to see it. Another thing we need to ensure we're doing is staxing out the board, slowing down our opponent's combo wins. Archon of Myria, Phyrexian Censer, and Deafening Silence are going to be amazing at this. I want to take a second to point out an interaction between Phyrexian Censer and Maskwood Nexus. Since all of our creatures are Phyrexians now, it's going to turn Phyrexian Censer into a one-sided stax piece. Collector Oof and Null Rod can not only shut off some of the dockside win cons, but additionally, it kind of brings the game to a crawl, since a lot of people really rely on Artifact Ramp to accelerate their game plan. We can also kind of create a soft lock with Magus of the Moon. If you add a Null Rod effect to a Magus of the Moon effect, you're just going to lock everybody off mana dorks out of the game, unless you're playing against a mono red deck. Dauntless Dismantler, also another solid way to slow our opponents down in the early game. Aven Mind Sensor is going to keep them off of their tutors and their fetch lands. Drannith Magistrate will just keep them off of their commanders. Doorkeeper Thrall is one I'm trying out, but this is going to stop dockside lines and Thassa's Oracle, so it's going to be very useful. Ashaya is just mostly in the deck to stop those Cyclonic Rift effects. A Cyclonic Rift can really set us back and lose us the game altogether. Grand Abolisher is just for some solid protection on our turn. I want to take a second to talk about the main card draw engines of the deck. That way, if you can get one of these pieces down early, you know to keep the hand. First of all, Voja. Obviously, this is our best card draw engine, especially when you pair it with something like a Maskwood Nexus or a Mirror Entity. What's important is you kind of want to get an early Voja down, but you you also want to ensure that you have a creature tutor or artifact tutor. That way you can get your Maskwood Nexus or Mirror Entity to really start rifling you through your deck. Shields of the Velasvel. Now this one's really good. It's kind of explosive. It's like 1 mana, draw 5 cards 9 times out of 10, and it buffs your entire board state. So this is a really good card to have in your opener just for an explosive turn that draws you, again, a ton of cards and buffs your board. Cutseal's also amazing. Not only does it do the Grand Abolisher thing, but additionally all you need is 1 elf and Voja, and then you're off to the races, drawing a ton of cards each turn. Minkskin Boo. This one's honestly really solid, especially since we have those Maskwood Nexus effects. We can turn everything into a hamster. Also, it's very easy to buff the hamster up with Voja and just draw a ton of cards. Howling Moon. Now this one's definitely one you want to get down early. Not only can you rely on 2 to 3 wolves a turn, additionally it's just going to get you a massive board state and draw you a ton of cards at the same time. It does exactly what the commander wants to do. Esper Sentinel is also sneaky good in this deck because, again, we're buffing our Esper Sentinel up, so they're not going to be able to pay the 1. It's just going to draw us the card. Archivist of Ogma, another solid one that draws you a lot more cards than you think, especially with all of the fetch lands going on. Sylvan Library, this is the bread and butter of green card draw engines. Now, let's talk about the core of the deck for a second. We need elves. Allosaur Shepherd's going to make sure Voja doesn't get countered, as well as all of our other green spells, which we have a ton of important green spells. Elvish Mystic, Leonwar Elves, Finhorn Elves, just for our turn 1 plays. Priest of Titania is going to tap for a ton of mana, especially with our Maskwood Nexus effects, right? Incubation Druid and Gwenna. Now, Gwenna only taps for creatures, but this is a creature-heavy deck. Additionally, it can get us 2 colors for our commander, so this just ends up being another card that can catapult you into Voja early. Bloom Tinder is going to tap for 3 mana. It's amazing. Rocco's just an amazing tutor that also just so happens to be an elf. Rhythm of the Wilds is going to prevent our stuff from being countered, along with Delighted Halfling. We have a lot of very important legendary creatures. Imperial Recruiter, now 9 times out of 10, this is just going to get us our Mirror Entity, but there's definitely a plethora of 2-power creatures that this guy can grab. Ranger Captain of Eos, again, this is going to grab us our Mirror Entity, or we can go ahead and grab Esper Sentinel if we need a card draw engine. Court of Calling, Finale of Devastation, Green Sun Zenith, just your solid tutors. We also have Invasion of Ikoria, notably super easy to flip in this deck. You could flip this to turn you play it and then just have a giant 8/8 that allows you to assign your combat damage as though you weren't blocked. Super busted. Eldritch Evolution, then we have our Worldly Tutor, Gambles, Enlightened Tutor, Crop Rotation to get the Gaia's Cradle, just your standard tutoring. Moving on, let's talk about how we interact with the stack. We have our silence effects with Silence and Calamity's Wake. Now, Calamity's Wake notably does just hose over breach lines, so that's mainly why this is in the deck, but it can also stop a Thassa's. Red Elemental Blast, Tybalt's Trickery, and Pyroblast are our counter spells of choice. Besage You and Touch the Spirit Realm, again, these can stop those breach lines and additionally just shut off anything that really relies on having a certain piece on the battlefield during your turn. Endurance can easily shut off those Thoracle lines. Deflecting Swat is one of our best interaction spells. Legolas is Quick Reflection. Not only can this protect Voja, but additionally it can protect your mana dorks that are also massive, so you can then tap those mana dorks to kill something. Veil of Summer, a solid card to protect our win attempts. Swords to Plowshare and Nature's Claim for some solid removal, along with a Braid. Now let's get into that playtest. Alright, let's go down. Let's see if we can get into some good games. Alright, Collector Oof turn 2, turn 1 Enlightened. Not exactly what you want to see, but it could just slow our opponents down to a crawl. We have Shield of Veils in there. Okay, yeah. I think we do this. Let's draw a card. Okay, that's fine. Crack this. We're going to get our Stomping Grounds. Close. Oh, sorry. No. We need a White Source to fire off our tutor. Duh. Okay, cool. We'll go here. In a game, you'd grab your duel, but it's fine. Fire off this tutor. We're probably either looking for a Jeweled Lotus. Can we turn to Voja with a Jeweled Lotus? We can. So we're going to get our Jeweled Lotus out. Put that on top. Go here. Go here. Sack this. Get Taiga. Get our Voja out. turn 2 Voja. And then next turn, we will play Collector Oof. Attack with Voja. Draw a card. Okay. We're getting into our elves now, which is good. We'll play an elf. Attack with Voja. That's going to put a counter there, a counter there, a counter there. We'll draw a card. Ooh, Gaia's Cradle. Tap the Gaia's Cradle. Play Gwenna. And then we'll go to our next turn. So we do have 2 tutors up. So the mana right now is very appreciative. Boom. All right. Okay, this is going to be a nutty turn because we have all the mana in the world. Let's see if we can pull off a win attempt here. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Gaia's Cradle mana. Now, she can only tap for creatures. So let's go ahead and add 2. Maybe, do I just go 3 mana and then Imperial? Yeah, we'll Imperial here. I'm trying to think. Yeah, we'll Imperial here. Turn or 2 power. I don't think we need anything for 2 power yet. So we have 2 options. Actually, we'll Imperial here. Yeah, we will, and we'll grab our mirror entity because it's busted. Get our mirror entity down. And then we tutor for, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so we can do this. So that's 6 mana. And that's cord for 3. Let's cord for 4. Actually, we need to leave cord up. Oops, sorry. No, we're not doing that. We're just going to Sylvan. Or sorry, Green Sun Zenith. That'll get shuffled in. Yeah. Okay, so we need Shalai and Halar. Green stuff will get shuffled in. Shuffle, shuffle. And then what we're going to do is we're going to activate Mirror Entity for 2. So that's going to make all of our creatures base power 2/2. But whenever we attack with Voja, we're going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 7 counters to our entire team. So Voja now is going to get 7 counters. So let's add a counter. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then it's going to get the additional one because it already had one. So it's 2 power with 8. So Voja's a 10/10. Oops. Jesus. Okay, Voja's a 10/10. Collector Oof is also a 10/10. They're all going to be the same because Mirror Entity changes their power and they all have the same amount of counters on them. But what's going to happen here is when we put 5 counters on our entire, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 counters on 7 creatures. Shalai and Halar is going to trigger for each of that. So we can probably just kill our biggest threat right here with the Shalai and Halar and send the rest of the creatures, Voja and Collector Oof, at our opponents. Pretty good there. Shalai and Halar based on power. Yeah, power. Okay, and then another thing that's going to happen is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to draw 7 cards. Yeah, this is why this deck kind of is insane. So turn 5, we've killed one of our biggest threats, possibly 2 of our biggest threats. And then we're going to go to discard. Notably, Shield Velis does the same thing. But we win next turn if they don't do anything. We'll keep... I guess we don't even have any open mana. We'll keep Red Blast anyway. We don't need card advantage anymore. Even if they remove our Mirror Entity, which they should be trying to do, we have Shield of Velis in the deck anyway. So we'll go to our next turn. Boop. And then we're just instantly going to fire off a Court of Calling. View library, get the Red Terror. And then that should be game right there. All we have to do is attack with Voja. Voja deals damage. The Red Terror and Shalai and Halar combo off and kill our remaining 2 opponents. Yep. So that's kind of the goal of the deck. That's kind of what we want to do. We want to stax our opponents out. One Collector Oof can really hose over a deck. And like I said, you're just going to be targeting the person that doesn't get hosed over by the Collector Oof. So we got that down really early. start attacking the other people. Voja's got Vigilance, Trample. We had 2 counter spells in hand and the option to play Draneth, so maybe we play Draneth at some point if we want to keep somebody off their Krark and Sakashima or something like that. This deck is just like, it's really fun. I'm having a lot of fun with it. The fact that you can just smash an entire board, because again, even without comboing off with the Red Terror this turn, we added 7 counters to our entire board. Like, these powers are not right, because they should all have 7 counters. And then again, we'd put another 7 counters on all of them, and we could just tap Gaia's Cradle for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and make them all base 7 power. So they're all 14/14s, and then we attack, and then we put 7 more counters on them. So our entire board state could have been 20/20 this turn. Yeah. So like I said, there's just multiple ways to end the game. You don't even need to combo off win there. You could just, smash face, which is why I like this deck. With that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the playtest. Special shout out to my high contributing patrons, Newsome, Chicken, Excessum, Praetor. You guys are amazing. Really keep the channel going. If you guys want to become a patron and join on the weekly voted patron deck tech, you can join in the description down below. With that being said, I hope this helped you in your deck building endeavors, and I will see you in the next one.